Rising high above their surroundings, the biblical tales overlook crossroads along a corridor that link the cultures of the Fertile Crescent. A deeper look at these tales shows that they were created from layers of settlement, like rising shelves of history one atop the other, which document in dressed stone, pottery, and biblical verses chapters in the history of the unique cultures that developed in Israel. UNESCO has given international recognition to the tales of Megiddo, Hazor and Beer Sheva as World Heritage Sites. Out of 200 tales in Israel, these were deemed the most representative of the biblical tale. Mentioned often in the Bible, these mounds have been studied and dug over dozens of excavation seasons. Important remains have been unearthed that shed light on the history of the peoples of this land during the biblical period, particularly the kingdoms of Judah and Israel. While peeling off the layers of these tales, the vicissitudes of history are revealed: building and destruction, campaigns of conquest by powerful kings, revolts, and the major armed struggles that were the world wars of their era and served as inspiration for the apocalyptic vision of the battle at Armageddon, none other than Megiddo. As the New Testament book of the Revelation put it, "And they gathered them together to the place called in Hebrew Armageddon." The strategic location of Megiddo in the heart of the ancient Via Maris that led from Egypt to Damascus gave it special importance throughout history. As early as the beginning of the 3rd millennium BCE, a huge wall was built around the city that made it an almost impregnable fortress. Megiddo's might assured its standing as the linchpin of Egyptian rule in Canaan. At the beginning of the 15th century BCE, Megiddo, together with the king of Kadesh, stood at the head of an alliance that rebelled against Pharaoh Thutmose III of Egypt. The story of the pharaoh's great victory after 7 months of siege and combat was inscribed on the walls of his palace in Karnak in Egypt. Megiddo's widespread connections are described in the Elamarna writings and in other Egyptian sources, as well as in the Song of Deborah in the Book of Judges. The Canaanite city of Megiddo bore the brunt of an attack of the Israelite tribes during the period of their settlement in the land. It was apparently finally conquered only during the time of King David. Megiddo flourished during the reign of King Solomon, who rebuilt it. During the time of Ahab, it became a military base with horses, stables, and war chariots. The identification of the ruins of Megiddo was followed by a series of archaeological excavations beginning in the early 20th century. Over the years, the remains of some 25 cities were discovered here, dating from 4000 BCE to 400 BCE. Impressive gates and thick walls were also unearthed at Megiddo, along with royal stables and cultic sites. But without a doubt, the most exciting find is the magnificent water system, a 25-meter deep shaft down to bedrock and a high-ceiling tunnel 70 meters long that brought water to within the walls from the hidden spring outside the city. Tel Hazor is the largest tel in the country. At the height of its expansion, its population reached 20,000. The tel is located near the segment of the Via Maris that connected the land of Israel with Damascus at the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. The numerous times Hazor is mentioned in ancient sources are an indication of its importance. Excavations at Hazor revealed some 20 cities dating from the Bronze Age to the Hellenistic period. During the period of the Israelite conquest, Hazor, ruled by King Jabin, was taken by Joshua. Years later, it was rebuilt, like Megiddo and Gezer, by King Solomon. The city knew prosperity under King Ahab when it doubled in size. A fortress was built at that time, together with other public buildings and an impressive water system that ensured a water supply to the city within the walls, even during times of siege. Hazor was conquered by King Tiglath-Pileser III of Assyria in 732 BCE. Tel Beer Sheva is located on the southern border of the Kingdom of Judah, at an ancient crossroad of nations. The character of the first residents of Beer Sheva, whose livelihood was based on herding and seasonal agriculture, is reflected in the stories of the patriarchs and matriarchs in the Bible. For example, the quarrel of shepherds over water sources during the period of Abraham and Isaac. During the early period of the settlement of the Israelite tribes in the 11th or the 10th century BCE, a settlement with boundaries was built at the top of Tel Beer Sheva. Later, during the period of the monarchy, a city was built and enclosed by a solid wall. The fortifications of the city protected its relatively small population, which consisted mainly of administrative officials in charge of Negev settlements. Remains of the city clearly show elements of urban planning during the biblical period. The city's water system is one of the most impressive known from the period of the monarchy. It includes a gigantic square shaft lined with smooth stones, which descended 20 meters to a deep underground reservoir that could contain enough water to supply the city's needs for about 4 months. This reservoir collected the floodwater of Nahal Hebron and ensured a maximum water supply for the city. The biblical tells epitomize global culture values that developed in the Middle East and were influenced by neighboring cultures and are tangible testimony to the historic biblical story of the people of Israel and a vanished material culture. The tells are managed by the Israel Nature and Parks Authority, which is responsible for their maintenance and protection and for the education and environmental activities for the public. Despite extensive archaeological excavation, the biblical tells have not yet surrendered all their secrets. They still hold many mysteries.